Introductions. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sabuhi, and I'm really thrilled to be your host today. We have a great session talking about everything about the flows, and I'm hoping that you will learn a lot from this session and from Prague. I would like to introduce Prague. Prague is a founder and enterprise architect at Skilled Cohort, a Salesforce consultancy company, and he's also MVP. And before everything, I would like thank him for helping me to put this session together. I really appreciate for his time. Without further ado, we will review the agenda and move on slides right away. And again, if you have any questions, please use the chat window on the side. We will do our best to answer all your questions. If not, we will follow up individually, either by LinkedIn or by the kind of information we can get from a Trailblazer community. Okay. So the agenda today, we are going to kind of quickly touch base. Why now? Why Salesforce flows suddenly become important for marketers? We will look at the flow builder and flow basics just to just get understanding of what's out there for marketers when you go start using it, what you will see. We'll look on the flow types, what their purpose are, and of course, tips and best practices using flows. We will review some of the marketing use cases. Of course, I think we are kind of touching top of the iceberg. Like it will be some use cases that you can use today, but I'm pretty sure in the coming years there will be more use cases that you will be kind of come across. And we will have some key takeaways, and of course at the end the Q&A that we will cover. So why Salesforce flows matter now for marketers? If you're a product user, Marketing Cloud account engagement, or Marketing Cloud proper exact target, you have Journey Automation Studio. On account engagement side, you have automation rules, you have Engagement Studio. They're great by fulfilling a traditional marketing tasks, but there are more and more need for complex processes where you have to digest the Salesforce data. You have to push the back to Salesforce, to Data Cloud, to other platforms, and that's where flow comes really in the mind, because flow is and then Prague is going to cover a lot in detail. Flow can extend functionality beyond just marketing. So if you are dealing a lot with this for the Salesforce, if you are using the Salesforce data to build advanced logic, or if the automation that you build in account engagement is not sufficient to update certain things, create like additional tasks that you would like to create to update the field values beyond what you are able to do in account engagement. So that's where flows come to place. And the last but not the least, you probably know there's a new product called Marketing Cloud Growth. And Marketing Cloud Growth is actually using flow behind the scenes as orchestration. So that means, and as you heard probably, is the future of marketing is going to be built on the Marketing Cloud Growth, the proper that sits on the Salesforce core, leverages the Data Cloud, and then uses the flow for sending emails, for sending SMS. So it's just going to be not updating a fields or building complex processes. It's going to be you're going to use flow for everything. Like if you want to create your journey builder, it's going to be the same that you will do in flow in Marketing Cloud. So that the future is really there for flow to expand, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this session. So just to get the marketers ready to understand flow and actually start using it in some simple use cases or some for advanced use cases. I will hand over to Prague, and he's going to cover kind of details about the flow, the kind of history of how flow became where it is today, and all the automation background. So Prague, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Sab. First of all, thank you for allowing me to share my flow knowledge with the rest of the team. I know we have been waiting to do this together for a while, and I'm glad we are here. So thank you for having me. And also thank you for everybody to take a break during your work hours. Probably you are sacrificing your lunch, I don't know. But I really appreciate you taking the time and getting to know more about flow from a marketer standpoint. Before we talk about flow, in my opinion, you need to also have a clarity on like what kind of automation that Salesforce has been evolved in the last many years. So we actually started with workflow, and this happened when Classic was the fancy feature for Salesforce, because it was like pre-Classic, and I'm talking about the time frame which was in 2008 and 9. And by the time, Salesforce was still like a very small SaaS product, and people are still looking for ways to use it. And the automation piece started kicking in, and by the time, workflow was like pretty well used. Even though you can able to do only 4 actions out of the workflow, it's still one of the best automation tool back in the days that's been used as part of Salesforce. Then Salesforce actually saw some of the areas where they can grow and also exhibit their automation features. So they brought a new enhanced version of workflow called Process Builder, where they added a couple more features to it, and you can able to do better actions out of it. And one of the outstanding features that comes with Process Builder was you could able to update values in related records, and it does not need to be on the parent record, which is like a bigger lift. Because in any of those scenarios, we have to write custom coding to achieve it back in the days. Then, within the last 4 or 5 years, Salesforce actually started looking into the values of bringing no code, low code. And then they come up with an idea of, okay, we already have a server dedicated to run all the custom code that all the developers are developing on all the enterprise slash SMB slash you name any kind of industry. And those codes are already running in a server. Okay, why don't we take the advantage of that server, but turning into a way so that like declarative tools can be built on top of that server, so that admins slash app developers who doesn't use code most of the time could also take benefits of it. And that's how flow comes into life. So this is a tiny bit of an history so that you know like what flow is. And moving on, Salesforce also gathered all, sorry, just go back one more time. So moving on, Salesforce decided and see all the values of putting all their eggs in developing flows. So they already announced that workflows are going to be deprecated, and you cannot create any net new workflow like officially, but technically you can. But officially, because they stopped supporting any issues that comes up with workflows, they also announced a deadline to move all your process builders to flows, because they're going to stop doing any kind of upgrades to the existing process builder. So overall, Salesforce announced that they're going to do anything and everything within flows. So if you're new to automation features within the core Salesforce platform, you might come across some references where, oh, it was like that before in workflow, now it's different in flows. Now you know and understanding what they mean by workflow is and what they mean by process builder is, but you don't have to spend any time understanding about those terminologies. Just you have to focus on flows, and there's like a lot more to learn about flows. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about what is a flow builder. So flow builder is a modernized canvas where you can able to see, understand, and also build the functionality of your business processes. The best outcome of it is, it doesn't matter whether you are wearing a technical hat or a business hat. The flow that you're going to see it in a flow canvas is going to be pretty robust, and it's going to be much more easier and simpler for you to understand. As a technical person, you need to know how you have to build logics around the flow builder to make it work. From a business user standpoint, you're going to have a better clarity about, okay, this happens from here to here to here to here. Okay, the all the steps looks great. Oh, there's a step which is missing. So you don't have, you as a technical person don't have to transform your technical rules into like a flow diagram to help your business users to understand. Like you can just use the same flow that you built, which is going to be operational in your Salesforce, or can be used as a referencing phase for your business users. Then the second one is, it actually enables visual design, and you do not have to write any kind of code. You do not have to write any HTMLs. You do not have to think about CSS. And in fact, Flows also allows you to Flows actually allows you to make the feature take a control of what elements needs to land on which section of the page. So even you don't have to drag and move it to make it well aligned. The canvas itself is going to make its own alignment for you. Then most of the elements, and again, we'll be talking about what elements is, and we'll be showing you what elements are available in flows. But Overall, you could able to select an element, drag it and drop it in the canvas, and it automatically actually builds the connectors behind the scene. And the last one, which is one of my most favorite thing, and if you are some kind of developer, you know how important it is to debug any of the logics that you build. And this is something which Salesforce never put it for any of the other automation tools, but they actually slash purposefully added for flows such a way that you can able to debug the flow in each and every step. There is like a massive framework that Salesforce launched around like how you can do debugs around flows and what kind of debugging mechanism you can follow. But that's a topic for another day. But this is one of the best feature that they added as part of the flow. So you don't have to wait until you complete your flow and then go to a record and like try to save the record or like create a test record to see how it's going to perform. You don't have to wait till end of the flow is going to be done. You can able to debug and you can able to test like how the flow and what kind of results you can expect on each and every step, which is like a pretty robust feature in my opinion. So that's a little bit about flow builder, and let's talk about some of the flow elements in our next slide. So these are all called as elements, and generally these elements are classified into three different categories. The first category is interaction, where there will be a set of actions that you can make. So as an example, an action would be like sending an email to a set of users. An action would be like updating a set of records in your related object. And other action would be like publishing a chatter post within your internal group about any kind of events that happened within your Salesforce org. So all of those are kind of actions, and there are like so many actions in place that you can use that can reside within Salesforce. You can also make actions that can actually send messages and also connect with external systems. There's like a lot of actions that you can do. Subflow is part of the flow, but it falls under best practices such a way that any of your business processes should be considered as subflow. And if there are multiple business processes for the same object in Salesforce terms, you should not create multiple flows for each and every business processes. You just need to have like one flow for that object, and then you will be creating multiple subflows. And whenever criteria met, you will be calling a subflow, and then it actually does its role. The bigger benefit of doing that is to minimize the maintenance costs, so that if there is a change or if there is a duplication in any of the business processes, you don't have to shut down the primary flow, and it kind of impacts the other processes. So the system is going to be down for a few days, a few hours, or even a few minutes. You can avoid all of those if you're going to have it around subflow. And there's like a huge set of patterns, anti-patterns, best practices that you can follow that Salesforce published under well-architected framework, and we can able to guide you how you can access those things. Then the second biggest set of components that you will be using is like more about like logics. What kind of assignments you want to make, like what kind of decisions you have to do. So and one of the example we'll be seeing today is like how to use decision element, and what kind of decisions actually the system has to go through based on the record that comes inside the flow. Then if you're going to work on like collection of records, then you know how to use loops and etc etc. Then the last category is more into DML operations. Every time you want to create a record, you will call it. Every time you want to update a record, you will use that element. And also when you are trying to get some of the records on the fly during the transaction based on the record you are creating, we can do that using flow. So overall, there is n number of combinations that you can do with the help of all these elements. Next slide, please. Okay, yes, we talked about Flow Builder. We talked about some of the elements that you can use within Flow Builder. Now let's talk a little bit about what are the different types of flows that you can create within your Salesforce core platform. So there are like 5 types that's available for everyone. If you have a developer org, or if you have one of your clients sandbox org, you will obviously see these 5 types, which are the first 5 types, which doesn't have an asterisk to it, which is like record trigger flows, screen flow, auto launch flow, schedule trigger flow, and platform event trigger flow. These are all the 5 different types of flows that you can create regardless of the org that you are in. The last 2 types of flows are kind of pop-ins based on the special license that you use. So if you have an Einstein Copilot license, which is pretty new, both Sab and I are trying to understand what they are trying to sell as part of generative AI from Salesforce. But if you do have that license somehow, your account engage, your AE convince you to buy it, so that is going to pop in your Salesforce org. The last one is like data cloud triggered flow. Again, as it sounds, it's directly proportionate to your data cloud license. So if you have data cloud license, automatically this type is going to pop up. But for today's session, we're not going to talk about those two things. Again, if you log in and if you see these two things, don't get panicked that it wasn't covered during the session today. That's why we want to show it over to you. For the first 5 types, record triggered flow is the demo that we will be seeing today. But apart from that, screen flow is a visual representation and also like visual transition for your end users if they are trying to get multiple information at different stages. So assuming that you want to make your end user, after they log in and they have to go through like multiple screens, so that you're going to segment different set of fields that you want to get input from that person, and at the back end you want to store it in multiple objects, screen flow is a perfect example. And you can go wild by customizing whatever you want to do. You can put a progress bar, you can able to make the screen looks completely different between screen 1 to screen 2 to screen 3. You can able to go back and forth, you can actually force them to go forward, you can able to allow them to upload files. So like there's like n number of options you can do using screen flow. Then the third one is auto launch flow. This is a set of action that you define that needs to be done either when you are clicking a button or when you are clicking a record or when the record meets any certain criteria. Automatically the set of rules needs to run, and that can be done by auto launch flow. Then the schedule trigger flow, as it says, if you want to run certain set of business logics in a batch manner, then you will define those business rules under schedule trigger flow. Platform event trigger flow is like very interesting. They are still transitioning from like core developer focused content to a declarative concept, which is whenever you are trying to publish any kind of messages or information from your Salesforce org, if you want to throw it to either an internal channel, and I know I'm going a bit deeper on a technical aspect, but that is the only way I could able to explain it. So if you're going to publish the message in a channel both internally or externally, and if you have a subscriber to listen to that message and get the data out, that is what platform event trigger flow is. Again, we don't have to go much more deeper, just like basic understanding of pub sub, like publish slash subscribe integration pattern that flow is allowing you to do using declarative format. That's all you need to know about that type of flow. But for the rest of the session today, we'll be focusing more on record trigger flows.
Awesome. Thank you, Prag. So we will kind of go over flow use cases, and we will jump like we will pick one use case and do Prag is going to do the awesome demo. So like, what are the couple of use cases? Okay, what you see in like, we have 5 bullet points here, but the use cases beyond this one, those are the one that I commonly see across our customers, what they are using for. And also the first one is attribution is my favorite one. That's why we are going to do the demo. And so what we can do, one of the use cases that you can enrich campaign member data with additional attribution data. We will go in deeper, so I'm just going to highlight this. Like this purpose is that, hey, if someone has the campaign, go and grab additional information and append to a campaign member object. What you can do additionally with flows, that a couple of the kind of gaps in account engagement, that you are not able to append data to existing fields. So it's a kind of limitation on a part of Marketing Cloud account engagement side, and flow can help to do that. So flow can get the value from one field and go append to the previous field where you have, and that will be the use case if you have a custom comment field on your forms, like you're using beyond the built-in comment field or description field, is that you can have a functionality where every time someone submits a form, grab that information, append on top of what exists there. So instead of losing the data every time submits the form, you can keep appending the information. Another one's a consent. Some organization, if you are the kind of following the castle under and you're in Canada, most likely you are dealing that, hey, if someone is a customer, you're kind of eligible to mail your customer contacts. And that will be the flow we can take care of that, saying that, hey, if someone becomes a customer, go and make everyone opt in. for 2 years. And after 2 years, you can have another flow that automatically checks is like, hey, if the person is a customer, if not, just go and remove the implied consent. The fourth one is, and which is commonly seeing if you are dealing with accounts in product, especially where you have multiple business units, and you can need to define a field that kind of works as a brain or kind of criteria to define where the leads should go, like which leads should go, which business unit. And the one thing that the first thing, whenever it comes, like people would like to use a formula field, but formula field doesn't work for these purposes, so it's not allowed to do it for MDS setting. And your best option here is the flow, like based on the record type, based on the record owner, profile, etc. You're able to update the sync field automatically every time there's a new lead, or if every time the lead owner changes. You can update this the sync value, and then it will the respective the sync to each business unit. And the last but not the least is the creating a task when the event occurs, either is an account level, contact level, or an opportunity level. Then Flow can take care of it and create a task. And then, like, if you see the screenshot on the right side, it's actually the recent screenshot I got from the demo org for Marketing Cloud Growth. So as you see, if you are coming from Journey Builder from Exact Target Marketing Cloud Experience, that it will look like a similar like a Journey Builder where you have a decision split, someone enters the journey, the entry, date extension, and then they continue throughout the kind of Journey Builder steps. Or if you're an Engagement Studio, from the top, you have the recipient list, and then they branch out. Same logic applies to the flow. Like an example that I have here is someone enters, they receive onboarding email. If they completed what they need to complete, like it's the form or something else, then you can go and notify someone else. If not registered, you can go send a reminder email. As you see, it looks pretty similar what you have been building in Engagement Studio, or in a simplified way in the automation rule in Account Engagement or Journey Builder. And the recent additions they had actually in Flow, they almost replicate, even the icons look similar what you get in the Journey Builder. So that kind of another signal that the future of automation is going to be built on the flows. So I will jump on our demo time, so demo slide. I will just go over quickly over our use case, and the Parag will take over, will walk through us the end-to-end demo and how that the functionality actually works. So the Next Mobile is a fictitious company. If you are taking any 30-day challenge, like on Marketing Cloud 30, Unscript 30, you may be familiar already with the Next Mobile. It's a fictitious company. That company doesn't exist. Please do not send any emails. Even the domain name is just for demo purposes. So the Next Mobile wants to capture attribution data every time someone submits the form. So in their website, they have a form. They have a feed-in UTM fields. Every time someone downloads one asset, they would like to add that person to a campaign. But at the same time, they don't want to use that UTM value. So the common issue that kind of happens, you have a UTM fields on a prospect record, and every time user submits the form, you kind of override it, and that data kind of like gets lost. And you don't know, like, hey, if someone came like downloaded one asset or watched the on-demand webinar 3 weeks ago, what was the UTM when they did that? That information gets lost. You can enable some history tracking, and then again, you can use the flow to append that information, but that's in the most of the time gets lost. So the best practice is that every time someone enters a campaign, go grab the UTM and append to the campaign member custom field, and that's what Parag is going to show us how we can achieve that with the flow. So I will stop sharing, Parag, so you can take over.
Okay. This is the first time doing a screen share here, so let me see. I think I'm pretty sure. Am I sharing the right screen? I think so. Okay, can you confirm me, please?
Yeah, we can see the all active campaigns.
Okay, is it like too small or it's too big?
It's fine. I think it looks fine.
Okay, sounds great. Okay. All right. So how I want to do it is I'm going to show you from a data flow standpoint, so how an end user would experience it, and then I'm going to go and show like how it's being done inside the flow. Okay. So let's assume that we're going to submit a form, well, we have technically two forms just to make sure that we show the difference between two different UTM parameters. And people on the call, I assume you understand that whatever the UTM parameters in the URL actually hidden on the form, so that when we click submit, that's the UTM values that will be passed on to account engagement. So I'm going to start with social plus campaign of 2024 first, and then we'll come back and submit the same form, like a different form with the same information later. So for demo purpose, what I want to do it is demo at martechflow.com. The first name is demo user, the last name is Martech, and the company is, as I mentioned, it's Next Mobile, his favorite company. And then when I click request a demo, what happens behind the scene is it actually sends that signal and creates as a prospect in your Salesforce account engagement user interface. So if I do a quick refresh, and by the way, I assume everybody is in Lightning. If not, it's going to be much harder for you to get any of this experience that what we are showing. So as I said, we have demo user Martech. So let's open this. And people who used account engagement in the past, like it can be created automatically in Salesforce, but we have defined it such a way that we're going to see whether it's a valid or is it a good prospect to be created as a lead to move on to Salesforce. So everything looks great. So what we want to do is we want to assign this first. So when I click assign, yes, I want to assign it to a user, and I'm going to click Sabuhi as the person who needs to assign to this prospect. So the moment I assign this prospect, it's still loading, and if you see here, the Salesforce icon popped up, which means once I assign it, automatically a lead record gets created in Salesforce and it's been passed on to Salesforce. So let me click that icon, which will take me to the lead record of that same prospect. If you see, all of this information has been came, and interesting, the UTM parameters didn't get connected.
Can you scroll down?
Yeah.
Interesting. It didn't capture on the forum. I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Isn't the fun that happens during the demo that we tried?
Always, yeah. But just for testing purpose, I'm going to do the same thing in my other form to see whether the connector is properly working or not.
Just 1 second. Maybe when I hit the field, something happened there.
Yeah.
If not, we may manually write those information to lead records.
Yeah. So let's do the same thing.
Give me 1 second.
Demo user. Last name is Martech. And then the company is Next Mobile. And then I click request a demo. Now if I go back here.
Give me 1 second. I think I know what's happening.
Okay. But to continue the flow, what I'm going to do it is, let's assume that all this UTM values has been passed to the lead record, and I'm going to make it such a way, okay, the medium, what we want to pick, let's try to match it exactly as is. So we want to pick social as the medium. Let's move to social. In the source, we have
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
Yeah, you can have.
The source is LinkedIn. And then the campaign would be...
We can put anything, to be honest.
2024. Yeah, okay. So just for demo purpose, we'll just like bring these three values, and then we'll click save. But in a realistic standpoint, it automatically moves to account engagement, it automatically moves to Salesforce. But let's assume that it's been done as expected. And now we want to connect this leads to a specific campaign. So what we're going to do is it's kind of connected already with a campaign, but let's go there. There's already like a lot of campaign members added to it. So let's do add campaign, and this is something which I want to add it to this campaign. So I'll click next. And I'm going to keep the status as sent. Let's submit. And now it's been added to this campaign. So now I'm going to go to view all. That's how I know all the campaign members. And I'm going to search for...
It's at the top, I believe. Yes, the Martech.
Yep. So if I click here and then if I try to click edit, oof,
Should we, should we cancel? Maybe the click on the Martech demo, the last name.
the last name. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's still go back, and this would be a perfect call. So that let's try to troubleshoot it together. So this is the flow that we created, and if you go to the flow, so yes, the flow is active, and then let's come to here. So as we mentioned, there are like few elements that we have gone through. So every time when you create a flow, you will be having a start and an end. Well, in fact, I can quickly show you. If you go back and try to create a new flow, when I click new flow, you will be asked to select what type of flow you want to create. Right? As we are discussing, there are different kinds of flows, different types of flows. And since this demo work doesn't have any of those fancy licenses, we have only those 5 different types. This is technically not a type, so that's why I purposefully avoided it. But it has a different story of why you need to understand about the orchestration, but probably not for all the audience that we have today. So let's assume that we're going to create a record trigger flow. The moment you select record trigger flow and click new, as I mentioned, it's going to have a start and then end. And then you will be asked to select an object, and then there will be a set of questions you will be asked. This is definitely not a session on how to create a flow or learn a flow. This is more about exposure around flows. So I'm going to stop it here and then going to take you back to the flow that we already created for today's purpose. So if I go to the flow that we created already, we used few elements, right? Like we used a decision element, we used an DML element, which is like update record. So what we are doing is the campaign member, which is the object where we added the campaigns, where we added the lead. Once you add it, it actually checks whether it's going to be a lead or a contact. Is it like a net new profile user who's trying to know something about your product, or it's an existing user or existing paid customer who wants to know more about some of your new products? So it checks whether it's a lead or a contact. And how it actually does is, I'm going to quickly show you there. So you could able to look into the set of values that's stored in your campaign members and see whether it has a lead ID. If not, okay, whether it has an contact ID. So if either of those doesn't exist, which means that you cannot create a campaign member if it's not connected to either lead or contact. So what it happens is, if it is a lead, it actually comes and then sees, okay, what kind of information that we need to pull from the lead record that got created from moving it from account engagement as a prospect to a lead in Salesforce core platform. And once that is done, we are assigning all the values back to the campaign member record that gets created when you add a lead or a contact under the existing campaign. Okay, so that's what it happens. So at the back end, the moment you add a lead or a campaign to, at the back end, when you add a lead or contact to a campaign, it actually looks for the value. If it has a reference to a lead, it goes and checks on the lead and then tries to pull all the information, which is like UTM parameters, and then move it back to the campaign. It seems like pretty straightforward, but the reality is every single time an update happens on the lead record from UTM parameter standpoint, you're going to have access to the latest version of those UTM field values. You are going to miss all the history and also the campaign member values. And there are like 2 components to it in terms of like why flow actually solves both the problems. Number one, your account engagement cannot allow you to create those values as timestamps. It can always focus only on the Salesforce standard fields. Then the second one is, every time when you are connecting the same lead across multiple campaigns as campaign members, when you run a report on that particular lead or contact, you are not going to get all the UTM parameter values. So it's going to be very hard for you as a marketer to see from where you're getting all those attention is. So that's why flow is kind of solving both the problems that, okay, hey, as a marketing automation system, all you have to do it is you have to create the lead, and anytime there is a new interaction happened by the lead on the website, gather that information, pass it on to that existing lead record. The rest of the things will be taken care by flow automation. That's exactly what's happening behind the scene. Okay.
Correct.
Um,
I send a link of the campaign member record. It worked for me. Maybe there's
okay.
something like, because you're like I cleared the cookie and submit the form. It worked. So
Okay, perfect.
if you can check a chat window or check
Okay.
the last prospect record,
Yep.
that should also kind of show.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it this one?
No, the next one, with the Cloud Kettle email. Yeah.
This one? Okay.
Yes. Can you click the blue icon, like, so it takes to?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you see, we have like UTM parameters that got captured as part of SAP's form submission. And if I take to the Salesforce side of the lead, if you come here, yes, all these values are being populated. And the way you can know it's not manually entered is if the created time and the last modified time are same, which means there's no way that SAP would have like created it and then immediately jumped in and then updated it. So this is a proof of audit trial that these values actually passed on as part of the button click happened on account engagement.
And if
Now
you
we
go,
are, yep.
yeah, go to campaigns and then select
Yes.
the data. Yes, data
Data
force.
form. Yeah, let's do
Yes.
it. So we'll go to data form, and currently there are 3 members. And if we see, there are like 3 members which are like lead with random information, but we have SAB who is already been added as part of this. And if you see, the UTM values are actually populated. So if you see, it has UTM medium social, and you have UTM campaign as 2024, and the UTM source as LinkedIn. And now, do you want to submit the second form
Yeah,
so
I can
that the
submit another one. Yeah, I can submit another one with the same user. Give me 1 second.
yeah. So
Apologies
once
for
SAB
that.
submits his second form with the same user and the same email address, we will have a comparison between the current campaign member and the lead, and you will see a difference that it's been already updated. And when we create another campaign member within net new campaign, then you will see the difference between the same lead has different values, but couldn't be able to track it on the lead level, but you could able to track it on the campaign
Give
member
me
level.
1 second.
Mhm.
Now the form. Yeah, perfect. So if you go the same record and just refresh the prospect record in
Okay.
account engagement,
Yep.
and kind of check the UTM
Refresh.
values.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been changed, and I hope it's been passed on to Salesforce. Oh, it not sent to Salesforce yet. Probably there's a batch that needs to be done.
Yes, it's waiting right now probably to sync over. Let me actually do this sync with CRM. It should do right now. Sync with CRM. And can you refresh right now?
Yep. Aha. So if you see, the UTM values has been changed. Remember what I said, that there is no trace that you couldn't be able to see what was the previous value, what is the current value. There are a few ways you can able to track it, but it's not an easy way to report it on it. So now I'm going to go to this list of campaigns, and I'm going to pick another campaign. So let's say
can you go to
let's
all campaigns? Maybe click on all
Yep.
campaigns, and then
Yep.
let's pick something like
I
interesting.
think more. I think probably.
Yeah, more. You can do more data. You can add it to more
You want
data.
to more data? Okay, let's go to more data, and let's see who are all the existing campaign members. We already have like 2 versions of SAP here, but let's also add one more version of SAP, which is the net new version, which is with the demo 2 email address. Add it, click next, and let's have the status as send. And now, if you see here, the UTM parameters are different. So when you are searching for SAP's email address, I hope campaign members show up.
I think
so yeah, technically it won't show up here.
Yeah.
But if you actually run a report with this email address, what happens is, so there are 2 campaign members under the same profile. One has these different UTM parameters attached to campaign more data. And there is an other campaign which is not more tech, but
The data force.
data force, view all. And if you see here, you will see it's the same profile but with the different UTM values. So this is possible through this flow that we have actually gone through. And if this doesn't exist, we cannot be able to do it.
Correct.
Okay. So there are like few comments which are popping up.
I will address them at the end,
Yeah.
or we can address them right now. So for Rand's question, I think he solved it. Yes, correct. We do the first caption of prospect. It goes to the lead record, and a flow captures it from a lead record and stamps it on a campaign member record. And this gives you the like visibility on, hey, if you are looking for, hey, I have this white paper. What are the channels brought people to this white paper? What are the sources brought to the white paper? That information will be stored in a campaign member for the specific campaign, and you will get a full visibility. So you're not going to lose that data. It's like kind of really important attribution data that you should always have access to, but this is only possible if you store in campaign member. I'm not saying this is the only solution. You can have your own custom object and then enter the records, etc. But that will give you the, because it's a campaign member, when you get the campaign influence, when you get the campaign influence model, this information becomes really valuable. Not that the topic for this session, but there are benefits that along the way, if you leverage B2B MA, you can get this all information together and have a holistic view on your marketing campaigns. And the next question for Ben. Ben, you have a valid thing, like what happens if the person comes and downloads the same asset multiple times? In that scenario, it's a kind of decision you have to make. Are you taking a first touch point approach or last touch point approach? So if you're a first touch point approach, that means that you will stamp that value. You're not going to update that functionality, the UTM values in the future if the person comes. Or you can make a decision that, hey, every time I think the person is re-added to a campaign, I would like to grab whatever UTM exists on a lead record and stamp it. It's a kind of more business decision. Both possible. My recommendation, because you're looking, like you're interested to know which channel or campaign brought the person to download the asset for the first time, and the usual last touch point is the real doesn't have that value. So in that specific use case, I will say look at the first touch point. Is there another automation updating lead record? So sorry, there was a Bianca. So let's kind of finish the slides, and I will come back the questions.
I think the short answer is no. You don't need a custom automation for it. It's part of account engagement feature. So it automatically syncs all the updated values from prospect, which is on account engagement, to Salesforce lead record. It's not creating another lead, or it's not following through any custom automation to achieve it.
Okay. I don't know if you want to. Yeah, if you stop the sharing the Prague, I will jump on the remaining slides and we can come back. Definitely on this one. I know we have probably 14 minutes, and I want to be respectful on time. Okay, so the next slide.
Yes. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that you all try to learn it by understanding the best practices and also some of the tips. And there's like literally 200 different kinds of patterns that you can follow. There's like at least 100 different kinds of IT patterns that you want to respect to have a better flow learning and also flow building experience. To start with, some of the things that I highlighted is ensure each flow serves a single purpose. As I mentioned, that's the easiest and the cleanest way to handle any of your business processes. Number two, screen flows should consistently use fault connectors to display errors to users, which means if there are not proper input that's been received from an end user, make sure you have certain valid error messages rather than system generated error messages. Number three, avoid retrieving data in a flow that is not used, which means, hey, this query is free. Why don't I bring all 300 field values as part of this query? Don't do it. It's going to take much of the heap size on the screen, and it's going to impact your processing speed. Number four, avoid DML operations within a loop. Of course, this is one of the probably the hard written best practice across all software development, that like do not use it, because try to get everything what you want before the loop and then loop the results that you get. And then handle DML errors in a faulty path. Again, channelize the default error messages rather than allowing system to show some of the system error messages which nobody could able to understand. Next slide, please. Yes, as an audience, I always want to have some key takeaways, because it's closer to an hour long content, and it's much more easier to think about like few things when I walk away from the session. The very first thing what I want you folks to think about is flow knowledge is going to be required slash mandate, or you're going to like mandatorily going to need it. I don't want to be that harsh on a slide, but that's exactly how my feeling is, because it's gonna be flow left, right, and center moving forward across the different Salesforce products. It's not just on the Salesforce core products. Any other Salesforce products that Salesforce acquired are going to start taking the advantage of flow. Number two, flow fall under no code category. You doesn't need to be an engineer. You doesn't need to work on black and white screen to understand flow. Okay, it's going to be like very easy, very understandable. Of course, it's not going to disappoint people who are like, okay, I put my hoodie on, I always live in a basement, and I want to go much more deeper on like coding. Still, flow is going to help you solve some of the bigger problems. Number three, learn flow with best practices. As I mentioned, there's like a huge list of patterns and anti-patterns that you can review before you start creating any flows. So there is a thing called pattern and anti-pattern, which you need to know. And that's one of the key takeaway. And the last one is give a chance to flows to automate advanced use cases. As Sab was mentioning, purely from a marketing standpoint, there's like so many things that you can do slash you can automate, and just take benefits of it.
Yeah, no need. If you are using like account engagement automation or like engagement studio, sometimes you try to over engineer those things, or even journey builder automation studio in marketing cloud. You don't have to. Just because the flow owned by Salesforce admins, they don't have own it, because the future of flow will be marketing, like not the marketing, but marketing will heavily use it. So instead of like kind of the over engineering some of your automations in kind of in those platforms, just give a chance to flow. It's available in your old demo orgs, dev orgs, any account you're using. Flow is available there. Give a chance, try. Let's say they do the basic use cases like append value, replicate the kind of flow we had we demoed in this session in your org, and see what you can understand, because that's the one thing I would like to emphasize, that it's really the future is the flow for in terms of automation. And as we know, like new marketing cloud product introduced, and everything like sending emails, sending SMS, sending a series of emails, everything happens through flow in that product. So it's really the great time for us. And I'm just speaking from my perspective, from marketing perspective, is that it's better time to kind of the right time to learn about the flows. Cool. We have kind of two resources here for you, how you can get started with the flow. One's a Trailhead Trail. You can go get started today. There's nothing like, it's free. And it's really great, robust, like go step by from basic to advanced use cases, and have everything in place. You can also get the Trailhead Academy. We highly recommend, if you're able to like get your organization company kind of compensate for the cost. It's a great place to start as well. And again, don't stop here. The online, there are lots of resources on YouTube where you can go and start learning about flows. And if you already signed up Marketing Cloud 30, keep eye on that. I'm also hoping that in the coming months, I'm going to release some kind of Flow 30 challenge where every day you receive one challenge, and then try to solve, and it's going to basic to advanced version. I think that was our last slide. Thank you so much. I will stop sharing, but jump back to the questions if you have any, because I was sharing the screen and haven't seen. Prag, do you have anything to add on this Learn Salesforce Flow?
No, actually, these two are like a pretty quality content that you can go through. The one, again, I'm in Salesforce MVP. Obviously, I will recommend more about Salesforce signed, sealed content for you to learn, because they have a team. They work in like there's a millions of dollars has been spent on generating these documents. So I highly recommend going through Salesforce powered content. So please take a picture of it. It will, the first one will take you to a trial and it actually gives you a better understanding of it. Then the second one is a paid academy that you are actually paying Salesforce to learn more about flows. I've taken the courses back in the days. It's like pretty powerful. The content you get it from there is like pretty good, and you feel so empowered, and you also have a better understanding because you would end up meeting the product owners and you could able to learn from them. So that's why you're gonna pay a premium price, but I strongly believe if your organization supports you, it's totally worth it. I also recommend you to go search some of the flow features and how it's been explained on YouTube. There's like a lot of channels out there who will help guide you to understand the basics of flow, and they could able to do similar plus some of the advanced flows with an example, and it's easy for you to follow it. Also, go search for the blogs to have a better understanding, but always make sure you see when the blog was created. And I say assume that people on this call knows that Salesforce make 3 releases a year, and if there was a blog like 2 years before, then whatever they mention in the blog have no correlation with the flow UI experience you have when you're trying to do it on your own. So just be cautious about the timestamps around it. But overall, flow is going to be the next big automation solution that Salesforce is going to keep pumping more actions in place.
Cool. I will stop sharing and go back to the questions. I think you replied. Okay. You
Yeah,
replied some of them.
yeah. I try to reply a few of them.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Updating the record and it was so okay. Engagement, core cloud or this feature. Yeah, I mean, if you are in a marketing cloud, like it's not connected to Salesforce, I think there I saw a couple of questions there. Is yeah, hopefully you will get your hands on they will connect eventually to Salesforce. And to be honest, data cloud is something they future as well when it comes to like the way we are going to consume data in Salesforce. And if you get a data cloud, you're most likely will be on a Salesforce, or hopefully that will include the flow as well for you to leverage. And again, if you're a marketing cloud growth, it will also include data cloud by default. Cool. I see lots of engagement. Will use closer regressive empty journey instead of using the message connect. For the question there, for right now, probably you are going to trigger your journeys. The question was that will you use flows to trigger SFMC journeys instead of using MC Connect in some use cases? Depends, to be honest. Like depending what their kind of functionality they add. Right now, I don't think you can kind of flow can trigger Marketing Cloud journey. Usually, you have to kind of trigger based on entry point from campaign or Experience Cloud, or any data change can happen. So like you can run a queries, but things will change in the future. I'm pretty sure there will be more functionality added where you can kind of make a kind of direct call from UI without involving any API call to Marketing Cloud journey to kind of accept new people. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was our session. Again, this session was recorded. We will be sharing after the kind of once we receive the download file, and I will also kind of include the deck to present that we presented. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, to Prag on LinkedIn or by email, and we're more than happy to help.
We'll still hang around for the next few minutes.
Yeah, for 4 minutes we are here. If you have any
Yeah.
questions, jump.
Yeah,
Please.
I just shared my profile, and I'm also going to find Sab's profile to share it over here, so that if you have any questions, and again, Sab is famous, you don't have to go
Not
to
like
his profile to find for him. Like, if you search for him, he will show up. But yeah, we both are super passionate about like sharing our knowledge, and we are happy to help. If you have any questions, anything that you want to run by, we are happy to help. It definitely feels so weird to be having a like mission silence.
Maybe we will unmute everyone.
Okay, can flow in one Salesforce org update all these flows in another Salesforce org? The short answer is no. The long answer is yes. But you have to go through a set of processes through platform events, which I mentioned, or it's going to be more expensive compared to doing in custom integration. That was Jaydeep's question. Yeah, Fred, thank you. That's exactly how I just put it into different words. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I'm just trying to explore some of the features here, Seb.
I will look into why your demo didn't work out.
I know that's
That's-
running in my head.
That's the worst thing we were expecting, but it happened. So,
Yeah. Well, you made it work again, so you did the magic.
I mean, there was something probably like I believe it's something to do with the cookie that was saved on your browser.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
definitely.
also just downloaded the cookie, the edit my cookie Chrome. So
Yeah, that extension really helps. Like really, I highly recommend everyone. It just like the easily enables you to wipe the cookie from the session.
got it. Okay, we are waiting for next sessions. Absolutely, Mayur. We are happy to.
We will have more.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have 16 people. Right, we should be good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the other side. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Good
Bye
day,
bye.
everybody.